I've I've seen a rise on the internet, a rising trend that kind of baffles me a little bit because people continue to make harmless jokes about the fact that like nobody can seem to get a job, right? And also nobody seems to really want a job, which isn't really new, which is kind of just a product of the fact that people are not living their best lives right now. We're not living the best times. So all people kind of want to do is sit at home and bed rot, right? That's all I want to do. But unfortunately, I have a job, right? That's the thing. That's to people on like doom scrolling, like sort of corners of the internet, right? The brain rotted corners of the internet. There's a trend of people talking about like unemployedness as just like a thing of chivalry instead, right? Kind of jokingly wearing that badge of honor. Yeah, I'm unemployed. Don't talk about the J slur in front of me. J slur being job or like uh, job applications, but it's kind of had like a negative sort of connotation too. Kind of like if you don't have a job, you're like kind of a low life who has um nothing interesting to say, just like a guy who's sucked into the internet like forever and all time, and that's I don't know. I feel like we can satirize the fact that nobody wants to work right now without putting down people who aren't able to get a job, right? In terms of that, I've also seen that with like the F students thing. We start to kind of poke fun at in like a huge kind of like antagonistic way against kids who are like really struggling in school. It's like F students on average are not like in the back of the class making C4s, right? Usually that's the kids who like parents just gotten a divorce. Usually that's the kids who are like traumatized in some sort of sense. But also that's just the kids who just have bad home lives, all these other different economic circumstances as well as like social circumstances and whatnot. And I feel like part of that is missing from this conversation. But again, it's just memes. My real gripe with this is when this spills out of like the realm of like meme conversation and like the sort of conversations that we're having in like an Instagram reels or like a TikTok or what is it, Snapchat Spotlight or something. I don't know, bro. I don't think anybody's on that one. But I think it's more just the fact that this happens and then people will go and make other content, right? Content that isn't related necessarily to that sphere, right? Content maybe that's informative, content that like maybe has a little bit of passion behind it. And then we'll go under it and be like, okay, yeah, no, get a job, right? Let's say someone makes a kind of silly piece of art, right? That didn't really have much necessary like much needed purpose. People will say, "Oh my god, go get a job or something." And people have always said that, right? But now it's like unemployment level boss 5,000 or something. I don't know. Unemployment final boss. I have a screenshot right here. I'm not gonna show it though because I don't really care like that. But it's it. It's not just even like passionate like pieces of art or like video commentary. um it's like when things get into like world events and like and history and like information and whatnot, especially when it concerns left wing speaking positions, right? Anything to do with like um I saw a video earlier, and it said Minecraft is a game about colonialism. which is an interesting and thought-provoking title that's built for a specific audience, that's built to obviously to spark a certain form of discussion, which is fine to have, which is so interesting and needs to be discussed. And then a comment under it, some of the top comments are like, oh, this is what people do when they don't have jobs, as if this conversation couldn't be held by a what's it called, an academic, right? Or I see this a lot around like pro-Palestinian activists and under comments. I see this around my content necessarily as well. I see this kind of in person too, in terms of actions. But this is also just like the kids at my school will be like talking about like a thing that happened, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, this guy needs to get a job." Kind of is like just a blanket shutdown of the conversations that need to occur, and just saying, yeah, no, these conversations aren't important. Cut it off because I don't care, or something like that. It's like I don't know. I find that a little disingenuous. And I see it mainly as kind of like a reaction to the passion of specifically the insurgence of the pro-Palestinian movements in contemporary American society, which is growing because of the changing ways that the media and the news is speaking and starting to come out on this, and kind of in service to any of those outspokenness and conviction, right? There's this girl who did a hunger strike. I think her name was Maya. I don't know if that's right. But she was Guy Christensen's friend, which is a content creator that I was following on Instagram at the time, but I think his account is banned. Who was pro-Palestinian and had a hunger strike on campus for, I think it was 11 days before she collapsed, calling for the university to step in, saying that her hunger strike was like, hey, stop sending money to Israel and stop like capitulating to the Trump administration in terms of your convictions, in terms of cracking down on pro-Palestinian advocacy, right? If you do that, I will stop my hunger strike. And she managed to publicize that whenever she did collapse, and to show that Columbia University did not really care for its students. Because if it did care for the students, right, not just protecting the Jewish students, but like actually giving some like level of urgency to this, in showing that they didn't do any of that, they showed that no, this isn't about protecting any kids. This is about capitulating to authoritarian tendencies that we are seeing an insurgence of. And this seems kind of like as like the grassroots effort to create a permission structure for that kind of worldly authoritarian grip that is currently growing, that continues to rise, that continues to strangle the American people. The grip of fascism is growing tighter and tighter on America, and people are saying get a job to the people who are calling that out, as just a way to say no, this is fine. This is normal. We're good. Actually, we don't need any sort of help. Um, this isn't a um a train headed for nowhere or somewhere bad fast. And I think that's kind of embarrassing on our front, on the American side of things. Um, and of course, that's like the position centering the American people, which is kind of a really selfish position to have. Um, just a PS, it's a really selfish kind of point to just only be talking about, like, oh, woe is me, I live in America, the richest country in the world, um, and I'm like having a tough life, which like that's not like a crazy thing to be saying, but it's kind of embarrassing to like be the one saying that, um, while children across the world are um, dying at the hands of American military and American backed military, because America is the world, is the West, is a let me say that instead. America is not like the world domineer, but it is the West, which is trying to do that as best as it possibly can. America wants to be the world domineer. If there's anyone going for world domination right now, it is the U.S. Maybe not right now, but that's the goal. That's the end plan. But low key, softly, we want to spread democracy. And by doing that, we mean assassinate socialist leaders. All right, that's all. Bye bye.